There's always been concern about the waterproofness of e-bike motors and batteries, but my colleague Ollie and GCN Tech is actually about to drop in with an e-bike hydrofoil. So we're talking motor and battery submerged here. But folks, before we see what happens here, and I think it's going to be immensely funny, on today's show we're looking at all the new motor tech from Eurobike. This is going to be insane. It's gotta be the funniest thing. Okay, e-bike motors and batteries. Thing is, you've still got to ride them. That is hilarious. Now, before we dive into this motors edition from Eurobike, I just want to point out that this is arguably the highlight of the show. FEV, who provide engineering solutions to the automotive industry, have got this combined motor and gearbox. It is truly stunning. We've actually featured this on the channel on our Eurobike Tech Highlights, so check that out to get the full insight. Right, let's kick things off then, folks, with a look into the future of e-mountain biking. Why the future, you might ask? Well, because, of course, Revonte have got a combined motor and gearbox. This is like a smart drive system. Now, this is a prototype bike of theirs. It's got a 720 watt hour called the Accu system up here. Here's the drive unit. We've got a belt drive to the rear hub there. Now, Revonte are from a town called Tampere in Finland. I'm now going to have a chat with Leon. Now, Leon is not from Finland. Leon, you're from the Netherlands, right?
Yes, I am.
Let's re-familiarise ourselves with the Revonte system here. Talk about weight, watts, gearing, all that.
Weight is close to 5 kilos. Watts, 250 watt, 36 volts. It's a stepless transmission inside, like you told. It's everything inside, all connectivity, all sensoring inside, but like Bluetooth, 4G, GPS, gyroscope,
everything. So what everybody wants to know, guys, is Leon, is when will we see Revonte on the market?
We think that the first bikes with our motor will be out there somewhere. I think somewhere next year. Then we'll go with a small batch of customers, so the first customers will have it on the bikes. And then from...
The lucky ones?
The lucky ones, yeah, for sure. And then from 23, we can be more, we can scale up and we will be more widely available in the market.
What's really surprising, and I did know, that this motor, guys, is actually 90 newton meters. That's a powerful unit, isn't it?
It is, but it also depends on the rider input. Our transmission, it has it doubles basically the rider input. So we have an assist motor here in the front, and then there's the control motor, as we call it. It controls the gearbox, and that one doubles the rider input next to the assist level you already have. The assist motor puts out 90 newtons, so if you're a powerful rider, then basically the sky is the limit, but there's no number to it.
So there you go, folks. A great start to Eurobike 2021 with Revonte from Finland. Really exciting to see what these guys come out with in the future. I'd love to see it on more bikes. Let's know what you think. A lot of comments from you guys about the cost of e-mountain bikes. Of course, an alternative is if you've got a mountain bike, you can obviously convert it into an e-mounted bike by way of a mid-drive system. Now, mid-drives are a little bit more sophisticated than hub drives because they've got more capability when it comes to going uphill. Now, this is a Tongsheng motor, produces 80 newton meters of torque, so pretty potent, weighs in at about 3.1 kilos. Now, as you can see here, this actually mounts down onto your bottom bracket. And I have to say, it is a very, very neat unit. Coming with that is a modular setup. You can have different battery capacities and also different displays. And if you look here, you've got things which are equally as advanced as many you get from the big brands. I mean, Tongsheng is a big brand, don't get me wrong. But you've got this one, you've got that one, you've got that one and that one. And I think these are available to buy. I think they're about £200. So that puts things into perspective. So a great way of reinvigorating your mountain bike. Now, this is a particularly good-looking prototype bike housing the motor brand Anada, which is another brand from Shanghai. But they don't just make motors, they make the control, display, and also the battery. But this motor in here is probably one of the most lightweight motors I've actually seen. 2.6 kilos and producing over 100 newton meters of torque. Like I said, it's a prototype bike, but it's certainly something I would like to try out because it really does look the part. Let's go and have a look at the display on this bike now. Now, my health and safety man won't allow me to ride bikes around Eurobike, but nonetheless, I have the chance here with the Anada. Now, looking at the display here, wow, so it's got Eco Tour, Sport, Turbo and Boost. I don't think I've ever ridden an e-bike with Turbo and Boost on it, but like I said, a very, very compact display. Good to see. Now, Ollie is from arguably the most important motor valley in the world, Modena, the location for such brands as Lamborghini, as Ducati. But what's caught my eye is this super dinky little motor here, weighs in at 3.1 kilos, 90 newton meters of torque, and look at the size of it. I mean, it just about fits in my hand. Now, from the motor from Modena to the display and the controller. Now, loads of people talk about e-mountain bike displays being a little bit bulky. I mean, check out how neat this is. I mean, very stealth looking controller here. You've got the display, which has got Gorilla Glass on it, obviously. There's 5 modes on the motor we just looked at, but you can actually customize the type of modes or the amount of modes by different brands. But look at the walk mode on here. You simply push that down and boom, engages in a flash. Now, the thing with the stands here at Eurobike, you get to see a lot of motors and you can pick them up and put them in your hand, but it's important to see what the actual motor looks like in the bike. Now, interestingly, this is actually a Shimano frame here, and it's the same mounting pattern with the Ollie 90 newton meter motor. As you can see, it's a little bit smaller actually. Now, if you're interested to ride a bike with an Ollie motor, now Italian brands Olympia and also Bianchi have this motor in their bike. So very cool to see a European motor brand making such a great unit. A couple of snippets which I forgot to add there is that the maximum torque on this motor is achieved from around about 30 RPM, but up to and over 130 as well. And one final thing, expect to see this motor on a few bikes next spring. Bit of a snippet, I shouldn't have really said that, but there you go. Vinka from China has a huge range of motors, batteries and displays, and also an app that goes with their system. We've got a range here from the city, the trekking, the mountain, obviously most interest to us, the road system here, and of course the hub. Now, focusing on the mountain motor, weighs in at 3.6 kilos, produces 80 newton meters of torque, obviously it's 250 watt motor. And yeah, I think size-wise, I mean, it's quite similar to, say, a Bosch or a Shimano. Coming with the motor, we've got an app, as you can see here. Super small batteries. I mean, obviously this is one off the road bike, but it's good to see, you know, e-mountain bike batteries coming down in size. And as you can see over here, we've got a modular system. So you've got 4 different types of display which are available to mount up on your cockpit. Yeah, very cool stuff from Vinka. Now, one of the biggest e-bike motor manufacturers in the world is Bafang from near Shanghai. Now, you might have seen me chatting to Leonard a couple of years ago when we looked at the 500 motor, I do believe. But there are updates on this super powerful motor, 95 newton meters of torque, but it's now more lightweight, right?
Yeah, we have increased the weight a little bit to below the 3 kilos now, and the efficiency is close to 20% more efficient, and but the power is still the same. It's over 85-95 newton meter, still in the 250 watt range.
Now, you might have seen this bike, the American Eagle, before, but I don't think it's a secret, Leonard, that actually you might have seen the Forestyle bikes on the channel. That's actually a motor produced by Bafang, or maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it is. I'm not going to actually question Leonard on it. Leonard, love to check the bike out for real on the trails at one point in the future. Hopefully we can do that. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, great.
Now, we've seen many lightweight e-mountain bikes over the past few years, the Lapierre E-Zesty, the Specialized Levo SL, and of course the new Trek. But this bike really has caught my attention. The bike itself is from a brand called Transal, but if you can see here is a very super stealth motor setup, which is from Swiss brand Maxon. It's called the Bike Drive Air, and I'm joined by Stefan from Lucerne, I believe, in Switzerland. Stefan, you've got the motor there in your hand.
We call it the drive unit, exactly. Yeah.
Talk us through the sort of weight, the torque, the modes, and all the tech detail.
Basically, the motor is, let's say, optimized for compact size. It's a total weight of 1.9 kilogram. We have a torque sensor, cadence sensor, electronics integrated in this drive unit, and it's offering a power of 220 watts and a peak torque of roughly 30 Newton meter, which we believe is exactly the right value for really sportive mountain bikers who still want to bring their own efforts to the mountains. And we have a lot of positive feedback, and it's really fun to drive.
I can see it. It looks a very well manufactured piece there. So the bike weight then, did you say about 15 kilos for the bike?
Yeah, I think the on the configuration on weight optimized it's 15.6, starting with a 140 millimeter suspension system. And of course you could also create an enduro version, which will be then somewhere in the 16 kilogram region.
A couple more tech details of the motor. Stefan, talk us through the silence. Is it quiet motor?
One of the most important goals beside weight and power was to be super silent and to have especially very low drag torque when the motor is not powered. So you can even easily ride the bike without switching on the motor, which might be appropriate in some special conditions. And it still feels like a bike, not like an e-bike.
And of course, that means you've pretty much got two bikes in one, really, right? And 15 kilos is about the weight of a mid-travel enduro bike, anyway.
Yes, that's exactly the case, and it's really you're not longer e-biking, you're mountain biking, but you will feel stronger with the motor.
That's it, folks, for our look into the motors at Eurobike. Remember that Bulls are probably one of the few e-mountain bike brands that offer different motors, from Bosch, from Bros, and also Shimano. But for me, I think it's all been about the belt drives and also that really cool motor from FEV.